Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No ID podcast. We are on season 7. Before I even get started, I'm still going to be dedicating each and every episode going forward to one of my comedic mentors, Steve Militant, who passed away last year. I have here a guest. You've seen him on Netflix, The Floor is Lava. You've seen him a couple of commercials like Verizon, Olive Garden. You've seen him for some of us that's over the age of 30. Have seen him on College Hill. I have comedian, entrepreneur. He has his own show on HGTV, the one and only Willie Macc.
Willie Macc. Hey, Rome Davis, everyone. Here we are. Black guys with glasses. Let's do it.
Do it. Blurs, black nerds. That's
Blurs. Yes.
So I'm just gonna let you know. I've been a fan. I said this before we started recording. I've been a fan of yours for a while, and been following you on Instagram and saw a couple of your clips of your stand up on YouTube. And I gotta say that your storytelling, your presence is amazing. It reminds me a lot of like a cross between like a Eddie Murphy and a Bernie Mac. And I'm not just saying that because you're on my show. I'm saying it because it's legitimately correct.
I appreciate that because that's one of the people. That's how I got my last name was from Bernie Mac. I did the Bernie Mac show in 2006, and I got to meet him and talk to him, and he just really inspired my direction of my life and my career. Like my real name is Willie McMiller, and his real name is Bernard McCullen. So when I found out that we can change our names in this industry. And after meeting him and talking to him, I was like, whatever it is Bernie Mac does, that's what I want to do. So I changed my name to Willie Mac and added an extra C and just in regards to him. And then I followed his storytelling style because after I heard that milk and cookie story, I said, that's funny, bro. And I was like, all right, I want to learn. I'm going to try to figure out how to become a millennial version of Bernie Mac. So that is kind of where a little bit of my storytelling. Obviously, I'm far from Bernie, but I'm working towards it. That's my goal. That's my goal.
Definitely. So how did you get your start in stand-up? Like how was that experience?
It started after College Hill. So after College Hill, I was a goofy dude that was on there. I was always having fun, cracking jokes, making fun of this, messing with Cheeky, I'm flirting with every girl on the island between Vanessa and Crystal. So they had me do all the radio interviews. So I was the guy that was like, what's up, y'all? This your boy, Willie Macc, College Hill. Make sure you tune in on BET every Saturday, blah, 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 blah. So I was doing that. And while I was doing the radio interviews, the radio host used to be like, hey, Willie, you're really funny. Tell us a joke. And I was like, I don't have a joke because I never did stand-up at this point. So after maybe like 3 times people asked me to write a joke or tell a joke, I was like, all right, let me write my first joke. So my first joke I ever wrote, so when people used to be like, tell us a joke, I'm like, all right, man. Since I've been in LA, I've been shot at 3 times. My car's been broken into, and my place has been robbed twice. And I got that taken care of because I ended up breaking up with her. Like, that was like my first joke that I ever wrote. And then that turned into, that's funny, tell us another. And I was like, another? My God, you people are greedy. So I got into stand-up to write jokes for radio interviews. And then I did it maybe like 3 years. And then I quit because I wasn't funny. I was forcing the jokes and all this other stuff. So I quit and became a TV editor. But while I was editing TV shows, and even though it was great money, I was losing my mind sitting in front of a desk all day. And I was like, what did I do wrong in stand-up? Why did it not work for me? And I was like, because I wasn't authentic. I wasn't telling the truth, and people could read through it, and I was forcing laughs. So once I understood that I was like, all right, let me dip into my personal life. So I started talking about having a son in high school. I started talking about what it's like having a butch baby mama. I talk about how I got my grandma laid at 103. So as I'm telling these stories and people are more intrigued, now I'm telling stories that nobody can use or never heard before. Like there's certain things you can hear from comedians be like, all right, I know where they're going. You know how hard it is to date in Los Angeles? It's like, all right, we already heard this maybe a million times. Ain't it crazy when your girl catches you, do da-da-da-da-da? Like, all right, we've heard this. It can still be funny, don't get me wrong. So I was like, I want to tell stories and put myself in situations that nobody else can ever do. Like, if you ever hear somebody talk about they got their grandma laid at 100 before, you're going to be like, that sounds like Willie joke. Nobody out here talking about having a kid in high school from a butch lesbian and blah, blah, blah. So if you ever hear that again, you're going to be like, that's a Willie joke. If you ever hear somebody say, oh, I heard a milk and cookies joke, it's like, that's Bernie Mac's joke. So there's certain jokes that make you who you are. So I started to lean towards that, and that's kind of like my stand-up journey.
Yeah, same. I used to take an acting class, and the guy that was teaching me, Marlon Hargrave, used to tell me all the time, people can steal your jokes, but they can't steal your stories. So you got to tap in to your actual self, like the things that happen. And then, transitioning and still doing comedy, but podcasting. When I started getting a little bit, some celebrities, some people that I've been following, they was telling me the same thing. It was like stories after stories. Like my Bernie Mac is in my top 5. But the number one comedian that I say for me personally was Michael Collier and D. Militant. Definitely Michael Collier, because he was so raw and authentic in our conversations. And then watching his stand up from, of course, reruns of Def Comedy Jam and follow him through the Platinum series and so on and so on. It was like he just tapped into all his life experiences. And when I saw your material, you was like, your son ran into your room, said it was a monster underneath the bed. And then you said, don't bring that monster in here. And you went to your dad to go get it checked out. Or when you had the bit about you had to borrow money from your son to pay his child support. Okay.
Yeah. Those are stories. The truth behind those stories is, I'm going to start with the monster one. I've always been scared of the dark. I'm still scared of the dark as a grown man. I got to close every door. I don't like doors open at night. The blinds got to be closed, whatever. So I'm scared. So now this is just me. All right. Now people believe this story, don't believe this story, but I'm telling you all the truth. I feel like I've seen at least 2 spirits in my entire life, like ghost or whatever it was, and it panicked me and freaked me clean out. So I remember seeing one when I was maybe, let's say, 10 years old, and I run to my parents' room, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like 17. So the truth behind the monster in the bed joke. So the second time I felt like Malcolm's room was my son's room. I had a little room for him. And I felt like I saw something go into that room. And instead of being like, oh, shit, let me go get my son, I was like, oh, shit, let me go get my dad, because maybe my dad knows something that I like. This is his house. So I'm like, hey, Dad, can you go in that room and I think something's in there. He's like, boy, that's your son. Go get him. And I was like, man, I'm scared. So I was like, what if I make it to where my son runs into my room and like, Dad, there's a monster in my room. There's a monster in my room. And I'm like, why are you bringing him to me? He ain't in my room. He chose who he wanted to choose. So that's kind of where that came from. And yeah, man. So there's a truth behind every one of my stories, and just the way that my brain works. Just I've lucked up. It's a blessing and a curse to have a brain that can pull from stories and exaggerate it and twist and turn it and all this other stuff. Not borrowing money from my son. It was during the pandemic. My son was the only one working. He was making money playing video games and all this other stuff. And as a comedian and as an actor, as you know, during the pandemic, that shut down. So I wasn't making any money. So child support was coming up. And my son, mom's like, hey, where's my money? And I was like, oh, I'm going to send it. And I said, hey, Mal, can you just tell your mom I gave you the child support money? And we cool, because he was staying with me, and I still have to pay child support, but that's a whole nother thing. So he's like, yeah, all right. Hey, Mom, I got the child support. She's like, all right, cool. I can tell the courts, woo, woo. And I was like, did I really have to, like, use my son? I'm supposed to be paying child support on him, so I used my son to pay, and blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of where that story came from. But yeah, that's stand-up. That is stand-up at its form. It's like, what can you take from your life? We could write a joke about just two black. I have a glasses joke. Why are black men wearing glasses? One, me personally, I don't like context. I don't like doing this thing to myself. Like, you mean I gotta do that every day? And then you got to do all this to pull it out. I don't even know how to put eyedroppers in my eye without blinking. Like, I can't even do this because I blink every single time. So I'm like, I never got past that. And then when I started wearing glasses, I started noticing that I started booking more commercials. You look at my Verizon commercial, I got glasses on. My Hyundai commercial, I got glasses on. And I was like, why is every time I'm wearing glasses, I'm booking more and more commercial roles? And my friend, white guy, was like, because you look safe, Willie. You look like one of the guys you look like the safe black friend. And I'm like, so you telling me if I take my glasses off, I just look like this? He's like, yeah, you look just like that with your glasses off. And I was like, huh. And then I turned that into one of my jokes. So that's kind of where all of those things came from.
That's true. Like the glasses, I don't know what it is. You can't be a thug with astigmatism.
You can't be a thug with astigmatism. Can't be over here squinting at me.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't even fight. So if I get in a fight, somebody knock my glasses off. That's it.
That's it. I'm done. You won.
So you won. That's one of my things. So I didn't know this one either. Your first role was in Meet the Spartans, and you did a Yo Mama joke.
Yeah, that's when I first met Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish was in that movie as well. I played the Yo Mama Joke Kid 1. She played Yo Mama Joke Kid 2. And we shot that in New Orleans. Yeah, I'm actually on the poster. Let me see if I can, if you can even be able to see this with the quality. But yep, that's me this is the Meet the Spartans poster, and that's me as the Yo Mama Kid right there. So, yep.
Shooter's gonna shoot, but I'm gonna say this: Tiffany Haddish, if you gonna ever listen or watch this interview for you, whenever you get a chance, I'm just gonna throw it out here. I got a 780 credit score. I look safe, so if you want to get somebody that's a little shorter, and maybe a little younger, I got you. You know what I mean? I can take you to get a 2 for $20 at Applebee's.
So she gonna follow. You gonna follow Common.
I'm gonna try and follow behind. Yeah, just right. That's what I'm trying to follow behind.
Go, go, go. On the count of 3. That's funny.
Have you ever had like anything crazy? I know everybody brung it up. It's old now, but like anything crazy happened to you while you performed on the stage, similar to like what a Chris Rock and a Will Smith went through a couple of ages ago?
Nothing as crazy as that. But the craziest thing that's probably happened to me while I was on stage, I was in Aurora, Illinois, and I was doing a show at the Comedy Shrine Theater. And this white lady, during my set, she's like, I want to feel your afro. And I was like, what? I'm actually, as I'm telling you this story, I'm going to show you the photo because I had a picture was taken. And I was like, what? She's like, I want to feel your fro. I want to know if it's soft. I'm like, you're not going to feel my fro. I'm kind of telling them, like, you don't touch black people's hair. And I went through all of that stuff. Like, no, you can't touch my fro. She proceeds to still get up and walk toward the stage. And I'm like, what is this lady doing? She gets up on stage and she grabs my afro. And I was livid And now everybody's like with this gasp, like, what is Willie going to do? How is this situation going to happen? Or where's it going to lead? And I end up just roasting her the entire show. The rest of the 20 minutes that I had left, I just made her feel like pure boo-boo. And I was livid, but that's the closest thing to do because I didn't know what else to. And it wasn't like it didn't come from like an angry place when I was going off on her. I'm like, see, this is the problem with da 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 da. See, you're the type of woman that this is why your friends don't like hanging with you. And I kind of went through like that instead of saying you B word or you stupid little. Like some people would go that way, but I didn't. But yeah, that's probably the craziest thing that's happened to me on stage. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you?
I had a couple. It was at the same spot. It was an open mic at a bar right up the street. So, of course, at a bar, you already know there's no stage. I'm right beside where everybody's drinking at.
Mm-hmm.
So I invited some friends, because I went to comedy school. So I invited some friends that came out to class after me. I'm like, yo, I go to this open mic. It's on Mondays. It's clean comedy. I said it's a little bit of a church crowd. Keyword, church crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Get there, it's like maybe 4 people at the bar. They're drinking, they're loud. The guy who is my barber now is sitting down further. He's like, yo, y'all shut the F up. Shut the fuck up. The other guy's yelling back at him, I'm in the military. He said, man, fuck you. I'm in the military too. So I'm performing. I'm looking. I'm scared. I'm like, oh, Lord, I hadn't invited these guys out, man. They about to see a bar fight. Blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm like, oh, damn. Like, bruh, when I'm talking about my barber went outside and met all those dudes out in the parking lot and whooped them all up. And I'm like, I said, this is supposed to be a church crowd. So after it was all said and done, I was like, yo, I appreciate what you were doing. Because they was interrupting all the other comedians. I said, I appreciate you. He said, yeah, I go in the barbershop. I said, man, look, you got me. If you can... If you can throw hands, I'm pretty sure you can throw some clippers. Cause my headline.
That's the logic. That makes sense to me too. It's like on dodgeball when it's like if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. If you can throw hands, you can cut. You can. He's giving fades and catching fades.
I was like, oh, I got him. Then the last time, man, I think it was the last open mic they had there before everything happened. For 3 weeks, it was this lady sitting up in front, older black lady. Once again, church crowd. Before I get on the stage, I'm like, I think we had like a shooting at one of the hoodest malls in Norfolk, and we was talking about how rough it is, and she just proceeded to roast. So first night, I ignored. Second night, I ignored. Third night, I said, man, bump it. She said something smart. And I said, yo, that's why your legs shaped like 2 rolled up sleeping bags, and you built, I think I said she was built like a box Chevy, and I was like, yo, it's like, you sitting here, Tyler Perry presents Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I got mad. And I went in so bad that they cut my mic off.
No.
They cut the mic. The host came up to me and said, man, you can't be roasting people. And I said, bro, she been asking for the last 3 weeks. So I'm like, well.
Sometimes it's like that.
Oh, well. I was like, yeah. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
I'm like, nah, I'm just starting out. I was like, so that room got closed. So we good now. The host.
Okay.
I get what you was doing. I know. Because I roasted you.
Everybody can get it. Friendly fire, on purpose. Yep. I've been there. I
got you. So what's like the journey? I know because I have an addiction to the microphone. So if I don't have a microphone in me throughout the week, meaning if I don't do an open mic or record an episode, I go through like a drought. Do you get that same feeling, that same passion as well too?
My friends call me a comedy whore because I am always in stand-up mode. I'm always telling jokes. And because luckily for me, my jokes are in story form, so I'll be talking to them and they'll be like, "Are you telling us a joke, Willie?" Like midway through, and I'd be like, "You got me." Like, "Yeah, I'm telling a joke. Just run with it. Just run with it." Or they ask me like, "Is this true?" And I'd be like, "Just listen to the story. Just listen to the story." Like, so I'm always in joke form. Even I was talking to my son's mom before I even hit you up, because she's like, "Oh, because my son's moving out here to L.A. with me full time." And she's like, "We need to help him find a job." And I was like, "Oh, I could probably get the security officers at my building to get him a job." She's like, "How can you get him a job at the security?" I'm like, "Because I talk to them all the time. I go downstairs at around 7, 8 p.m. If I don't have a show, I'm like, 'Hey, can I run my material on you all?' They're like, 'All right.' So I'll sit there and I'll tell the security guards my jokes. Like, I'm always performing somehow, somewhere. So I'm that way too. So if I don't have no mic or I have nobody to perform to after maybe like a couple of days, I lose it. When I don't have a show on certain nights, like I'm performing maybe like 4, 5 times a week, maybe closer to 4 times a week. And so on the days that I'm not performing, I'm like, I try to sit at home and do nothing. I try to sit here and watch TV. And then maybe like after 2 hours of binge watching some anime, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the Laugh Factory. I'm going to go to the Comedy Store and just sit there and hang out at least. So, yeah, I get bad withdrawals.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, like I think Tubi was probably like the worst invention for me because it has all the old stand-up. And I just sit there and just watch clip after clip after clip after clip. And Dry Bar on YouTube. Dry Bar comedy is pretty dope. Even the laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like man. And I've gotten to the point now where I've watched the stand-up on mute because I want to study their stage presence, their crowd control. And you had a clip on yours. It looked, I don't know if it was the video quality or whatever, but it looked like you had a cardigan. You was paying homage, of course, to Bernie Mac. You had the gold chain on, and you was telling some jokes, and I don't know if you was sitting around, people were sitting around you or whatever it was. You had a white t-shirt on. And I was like, okay. So I actually downloaded the clip and I put it on mute. I was like, okay, I see you making eye contact with at least a couple people in the crowd. And then I also see like your stage presence. It's straight, well, I could say swagger, but it's a certain swagger that you have too. So I was like, all right, bet. So from that point on, you know, like I can see, you know, your pitch. Cause like I said, it's like millennial Bernie Mac, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, of course, is probably the greatest of all time. Bernie Mac, the greatest of all time. In my opinion, best set of Kings of Comedy. Bernie Mac show, criminally underrated. Any movie that he did or any small part he took advantage. Transformers, the car scene. Great comedic time, immaculate. I could just go on about Bernie. Shoot. And I can name more episodes of Bernie Mac that I like than some other shows that's out there. But I mean,
the dude was dope. I learned about stage presence from someone telling me to study Chris Rock's stage presence. The way that he walks around on stage, like a lot of comedians will stand up there, they'll kind of walk around, but they're just kind of wandering on stage. But then someone was like, watch Chris Rock when he performs. He's walking with like every step is on purpose. He's like, I'm walking over here to tell you this XYZ. Y'all don't understand. Then he'll come over here, walk over here. And it's like with a purpose. So I was like, okay, so your stage presence has to be purposeful. But then, even though, you know, say what you want to say about him, but then I got a little bit of Bill Cosby in me. Because I was like, Bill Cosby was a storyteller. He wanted to tell these long, drawn-out stories. And he sat down and he talked to the audience. And he made eye contact. He made you feel like you was in his living room without the Quaaludes. So when I saw those dynamics, and then even my dad is a pastor. I'm a preacher's kid. And so I'm like, how do you keep these people's attention every week? Through 2-3 times a week, you're up there preaching and you're ministering, and you're not even telling jokes. You're telling, it's the Bible. So a lot of Bible stories you've heard, you do David and Goliath 1,000 times, but every time these same people come back. And I was like, what is my dad doing? So I studied my dad's stage presence as a pastor. To how do you engage with these audience members? Now, y'all don't understand. Can I get an amen? Amen, pastor. I'm telling you all. And you know, the stuff that he did on stage, I was like, all right, let me incorporate a little bit of that into my stand-up as well. So that's kind of how I've molded my set, and that I'm not even molding my set, because I'm still perfecting all of that. And then you have this entire stage. So now I'm like, why am I standing right here? Let me utilize this entire stage. So I got a joke where I talk about my mom slapped the black off me or whatever. And so now I'm like wiping the black off me on this side of the wall. I'm like, oh no, it's on the floor. So I take it off the floor and I'm trying to do this and whatever. So I want to utilize as much space and build a scene and a story all the way through.
Facts. Is that like the same joke when you were saying you saw your first white person and that you was in school? See, this is how much I've been watching you stand up. And you said, my mom used to say she was going to slap the black off me if I was acting this way. And that's how he must have been a bad kid. This is how much ladies and gentlemen, this is how much I've watched Willie Macc stand over time.
That's the same joke. That's the same joke. I've turned it into an albino now, where it's like the first time I seen my first black albino, I was like, oh, that's a badass kid. Like, what did you do to have your mama slap the black off you? Kind of look like Skittles with the flavor sucked off. And so then I started to try to build this picture more and more. So now I have it to where now he was like, man, y'all niggas are messing up. I'm like, whoa, you can't say the N-word. And he's like, but I'm black. I'm like, are you though? And he's like... So, yeah.
Let me just rewind back a little bit. How was it on College Hill?
I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. Some of the other castmates hated it. They felt like it made them look bad. It made them look like all they wanted to do was fight or whatever. I took that platform and was like, I want people to know that I'm funny, so let me be funny on here, because a bunch of people are going to see this. I don't have any drama. You mean BET is paying for this all-expense trip to the Virgin Islands, and y'all want to argue and fight? Oh, nah, man. I'm partying. You talking to a country boy born in Arkansas, raised in St. Louis, and we are about to be stars. We were the first black reality show before all the Love and Hip Hops, before any of these other ones that you've seen. It's us. It was us. And because we were the first black reality show, our season, especially the Virgin Islands, we were the first ones to air on not only BT, but MTV, VH1. And so it was a fun time. It was a fun time for me.
It was. I remember watching College Hill and y'all episode. I thought it was very interesting. Then I graduated and went to college and flunked out of community college. So obviously, it wasn't no Virgin Islands. So, I mean, I eventually got my degree, but, took 6 years, 2-year program. But we ain't going to go into We'll save that for the stage sometime,
Go ahead and put that on your dating profile. Got a degree. A while, but...
It took a while, but from here go anywhere. So before we close out, is there any advice that you like to give to anybody that's trying to follow into your footsteps of using that one platform and expanding into what you're doing? Because not only are you doing comedy, not only doing commercials, you got My Flipping Family, you're on HGTV, which is dope because I don't really see a lot of us on those shows unless we go to the OWN network, and then they got the black version and there's no comment. But you don't really see us, if not at all, on those type of things. And I thought that was dope too, because you're doing that with your brother?
Yeah, with my little brothers.
Yeah, so I thought that was dope. Yeah.
Advice wise, don't put a time limit on things. Some people be like, come out to LA, be like, I give myself 5 years to make it. That's not how this works. There's no program. Some people will make it within the first year and blow up. Some people will take 10 years. If you saw the behind the scenes of just Kings of Comedy, Bernie Mac, when they was doing that, he was the only one that did not have a show. At that time he did not have a show. D.L. Hughley had a show. Steve Harvey had a show. Cedric was on his show. So everybody had a show except for Bernie Mac, and he was obviously, to me, you maybe, the funniest person on there. And he's one of the more iconic stand-up comedians, but it took him till his like 40s before he was like actually taken fully serious. So don't put a time limit on your success. It took me 5 years to sell My Flipping Family. I've been trying to sell that since 2016. Pitch meetings and network meetings and production company meetings and re-editing. And yeah, so enjoy the journey. That's the one thing that I can tell you. Be passionate about it and enjoy the journey, the ups, the downs, and everything that's crazy that's happening to you or that you feel might be happening to you or the struggles or whatever it is. That will only make you stronger for later. As I joke about having a son at 16 knocking up a stud lesbian and my son running into my room screaming, "Monster, monster," borrowing money. At that time, these were traumatic experiences. I was in high school when I had my kid. I was scared. It sucks to ask your son, "Hey, I can't afford child support right now." Like, those are traumatic things in on paper. But to be able to take those traumatic things and then see the humor in it because somebody else might be going through it or somebody else might be like, "Oh man, I'm going through it. Let me watch Willie because Willie has a story about this type of struggle and it'll make you laugh at it." So anything that you got going on, save that humor. Done. Just let it make you stronger. Let it build you up and kind of keep going from there. And then just on the business side of things, I've been called a sellout multiple times.
Same.
I've been called a sellout because I'm on HGTV. And they're like, "Yeah, now, Willie, you need to go up there and tell these white folks XYZ, XYZ. I'm like, I'm not doing that. They's like, "See, you ain't trying to keep it real." I'm like, "You're keeping it real right now. Where has it led you? Where has keeping it real led you?" Everybody's seen that Dave Chappelle skit, "When keeping it real goes wrong." That's a real thing. People want me to I'm like, let me have these Dave Chappelle moments, because what Dave did, when you look at earlier Dave Chappelle stuff, he wasn't this super woke talking about all the things that he's talking about like he is now. He waited till he won that community over. He waited until like he was able to get the Dave Chappelle show and, you know, be on Comedy Central and be this guy a little bit before he said, "All right, I've got the audience, I've got the media's attention. Now I can be able to switch this up and do whatever I want to do." So understand that balance. You can't talk about, this is a whole nother conversation, like how black people love to talk about how all these people who are racist. Yeah, there's a lot of racism in America. We all know that. We don't need to be talking about that all the time because we're racist too. We're just as racist. And it's like, but it's different because we are the ones who are still suffering. I'm like, yeah, you're right. We are still suffering. But what can we do about it now? Now what? Just answer me the now what. This is your now what. Figure out a way to infiltrate or put your glasses on, even if you don't need them. Be that person. Then once you kind of grab some attention, switch it up if you must. So, you know, it's those are the things that I would tell people who are like, "What's some advice you can give me?" You know, that's kind of what it is.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. I don't know if you've seen the clips, but it wasn't until my 4th season of No ID where I started to tap into different things. I had a girl I met through Facebook dating. Her stage name, screen name was Satan's Fruit Gusher. We never met in person. Never met in person. So I interviewed her based off of her Twitter because she was into kink. We did that conversation. Several friends in the porn industry, I interviewed them. I end up going because my ex-girlfriend was a foot fetish model. We interviewed some people in that community. I had two dominatrixes up there with the hood on. One with the hood, the other one's a financial dominatrix. That went all the way to another stratosphere. So I get what you're saying. And I ain't afraid to get out my comfort zone. Yeah, so I appreciate you even giving me the interview because he tell you, yeah, the dominatrix up here. Nah, we good because that didn't mess with my dating life too. You know, now they think I'm into something I'm really not into. Like, all right, shawty, it's just an interview.
Yeah.
But for the fans out there that want to follow Willie Macc, follow him on Instagram at Willie Macc.
TikTok Willie Macc, YouTube Willie Macc, Facebook Willie Macc. I'm still Willie Macc on MySpace. So if you still on MySpace, hold on, Black Planet. I'm still.
Hey man, you gotta get in where you fit in.
Gotta get in where you fit in.
Man, if y'all want to follow me at strictly_wrong. That's on Instagram and Twitter. Follow No ID Podcast page on Instagram at No ID Podcast. YouTube is No ID Media TV, so you will see some of my stand up and you will see some in my podcast episodes as well too. Make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, rate button. By all means, support Black content creators, support Black content, Black media in general, because it's hard out here in these streets. 7 seasons, so we're going about 70 episodes in, so you can only imagine the madness. So just continue going on. And Willie Macc, I appreciate you, brother. If you ever need a laugh or something, I got my stand up on my page. I can send it to you directly and tell Tiffany Haddish I said what's good. If you can, slide her my phone number.
Tiffany's into the dominatrix lifestyle, so she might work with you now, man.
Oh man, I think I'm in love again. Oh man, you don't know.
That's funny.
But appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me. Congrats on 7 seasons, bro. You killing it. Keep it up. We all know it's about consistency. And thank you.
Thank you.
All right.